You know, I wasn't expecting Tetris on the Game Boy to be better than on the NES. I'm impressed. Tetris was actually the Game Boy's pack-in title in North America and Europe. It was originally going to be Mario Land like it was in Japan, but they looked at Tetris and thought it had more mainstream appeal. Let me just say that again. Nintendo of America genuinely believed that Tetris could appeal to more people than Super Mario. That's insane. And it turns out they were completely correct. Tetris became an absolute phenomenon whose sales were only beaten by all of Pokemon Generation 1 combined. I know it's a pack-in title, so it's not really a fair comparison, but still, that's very impressive. You know, considering how terrible everyone says the Game Boy used to be, I've been consistently impressed by all the games I've played from it. Granted, I've never tried out the original hardware, which I've heard is the worst. But playing games like Mario Land, Metroid 2, and Gen 1 Pokemon proved to me that Nintendo knew what they were doing back then. They were able to make games of comparable quality to their home consoles on this little gray brick. Game Boy versions of NES games tended to be very compromised downgrades back then, but not Tetris. In fact, the Game Boy version is far superior to the NES version for a number of reasons, and I'm going to list them all. The first and most obvious reason is that this is where the Tetris theme came from. Technically, the Tetris theme is actually a Russian folk song, and Spectrum Holobyte had used it in some of their versions. But it was rearranged by Hirokazu Tanaka, who also worked on the soundtracks of Metroid, Kid Icarus, Mario Land, and Earthbound. This song is infuriatingly catchy. If you hear it for 5 seconds, it'll probably be stuck in your head for the next 5 days. It's so weird to me that the handheld version of this game has a song that's so popular that the Tetris company requires its inclusion in every version of Tetris. Also, I'd like to add that the company that owns Tetris is just called the Tetris Company. That's great. The song makes the entire game almost entrancing to play and even to watch. In fact, at one point while editing this video, I just spent 2 minutes watching the footage and doing nothing else. This might be a minor thing, but another feature that makes me prefer this over the NES version is the ability to tell which blocks are which when they're put down. This might be a personal thing, but I really like knowing which blocks are which when I put them down. Usually that's done by having them all be different colors, but the NES has a limited number of color palettes, so that's not really possible on there. The Game Boy version has 4 shades of grayscale, so how is that gonna work? Well, their solution was to give each type of block its own texture. Somehow, it works perfectly. Giving each block a distinct feel whenever there are only 4 colors you can work with is a huge accomplishment. And lastly, the game doesn't become completely impossible once you clear the 100th line. I mean, I did lose almost immediately, but that's because I'm an idiot who can't play this game. Yeah, that's about it. There's better music, there's more distinct blocks, and it doesn't become completely impossible after the 100th line. Those were pretty much my only complaints with the NES port, so yeah, this is a perfect version to me. I haven't reviewed a Game Boy game before, and I really enjoyed it, so I think I might do some in the future. Anyway, 9 out of 10, thank you for watching, have a good day, like and subscribe, bye!